Why, hello everybody, this is Peggy. Welcome back to Etsy Rants. So today's rant is stop acting like Etsy is a criminal organization. Just stop. Just stop. Etsy is a business, okay? Can we just define what that means? A business exists to make money. Etsy does not exist as a charity for us. The number of people, Etsy has no business charging me fees. It's like you have no business using their equipment, their customer, their database, all of the stuff that they provide. You have no business doing that if you're not willing to pay for it, okay? So the number of people, I literally just kicked somebody out of my group today. Etsy did this and it's illegal and I want this fixed or I'm going to leave the platform. It's like, well, you can at the very least leave my fucking group because it's ridiculous. The idea that Etsy charging fees is somehow criminal is ridiculous. Okay, if I decided that I needed to come and set my stuff up in your ISO, hey, I've got an issue. I need to sew and I need to do it at your house. Can you set aside a room for me in your house so that I can come over and sew every day? So that I can make money. And then you say, sure, but I want some rent for that room. And at what point does it make sense for anybody for me to go, what are you talking about? I'm just sewing a few things. You should be okay with me showing up. It's like, but you're taking up a whole room in my house. Well, you're not using it, so I should be able to use it. It's like, well, no, that's not how it works, right? Somebody wants to be in your house. You let somebody come and live in your house, you're going to expect them to help contribute to your fucking bills. Okay, well, Etsy has employees to pay. They have server space to provide, to maintain. I can't tell you how big they're. I mean, I've never been to Etsy HQ. I know they've got a huge staff. You cannot sit there and say Etsy doing things that they are legally allowed to do is somehow against the law because it made you unhappy. Making you unhappy is not a crime. There are things Etsy does that makes me unhappy. It doesn't mean they're criminals. And we need to stop with this mindset. And I will tell you right now, where we need to stop is we need to stop with, there is a particular blogger that pops up all the time. Oh, I saw a blog post by this person shitting all over Etsy. And this blogger makes it look, she's very slick. She puts it together and makes it look very, very slick. And I am just shaking my head going, why are people continuing to quote this person without actually taking a look at the rest of what goes on around her? So she's putting up all these posts, oh, Etsy's doing this thing and it's illegal and here's why they can't do it and yada, yada, yada. And she's making it, okay. If you say it right, if you say something the right way, you can make bullshit sound tasty, right? You can make it sound good. You can make it sound like you know what you're talking about. The interesting thing about this person is that she is not on Etsy at all. Okay? This person does not have an Etsy shop. That's fucking weird, don't you think? Well, because what this person is doing is writing blog posts, generalizing and shitting on Etsy in this so professional sounding way that makes her sound like she knows what she's talking about, and she doesn't, because she'll talk about somebody, I don't want to name names because I don't want to start drama, but somebody linked an article of hers and said, oh, have you read so and so's latest article about blah? And it looked really good. And I'm like, but it's all wrong. What's going on? So I took a look, and then it hit me. She's quoting sources, other bloggers, comments in forums. She's not quoting anything that Etsy said, and everything she is quoting is at least 3 years old and was quoted before COVID. It's like, well, wait a second. Yeah, they announced that change. Why is she saying this is still current? It's not. Well, they announced that change. A big company makes changes, does this, does that, makes an announcement and gets on with their day, right? Okay, anyway. Lo and behold, this person, this is where I'm getting at here. This is literally just a rant today. Lo and behold, I look a little closer. Like what this is pretty slick Etsy bashing, but none of it's true. Like what the hell? What's going on? Then I realize she's got a website. She's got a website that she mentions regularly where she sells jewelry. Now, if anybody has been remotely engaged in the Etsy community, you will quickly discover that jewelry is so oversaturated that it's very difficult to sell anything to do with Etsy as in jewelry. I'm just going to sit here and stutter. I mean, it's that bad. Jewelry is, if you do not have your own audience. Sorry, I'm working while I go because I gotta get stuff done, but I also want to do a video. And if you're watching this, you're either an Etsy. If you're watching this, you're either weird like me, or you're interested in Etsy. So I hope you get it. It's like I got things to do, but I also want to make a video anyway. This person sells jewelry, and this person sells jewelry on their own private website. Well, there's the connection. This person is committed to shitting on Etsy because people love the tea. When you see an article that says, "Hey, everything's wonderful," and then you see another article that say, "Oh, this crappy, horrible thing happened," which, oh my God, what happened? We all want a good train wreck, right? Human nature. Anyway, this person posts inaccurate, incorrect information that is outdated. Like, the information is correct. It's like, oh, Etsy's doing this thing. It's like, well, that was 2 years ago. They don't do that now. They changed it. Etsy's doing this to their customers. It's like, no, they're not. Etsy was considering it and never did it. Oh, Etsy does this and this and this. It's like, well, yeah, Etsy does that, but you're skipping all the reasons why and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, now, like I said, I don't love, or maybe I haven't said it today, I don't love everything Etsy does. I mean, Etsy is a huge company that does a lot. I don't use, just because they have a giant toolkit, I don't use all of it. Okay, anyway. This person is a very popular blogger. This person posts shit content disguised as, she posts shit content, but she disguises it as scholarly articles. You know, it's like, oh, I did the research, so you don't have to. It's like, yeah, but I do the research because I do my own research, right? It's like, but you're posting stuff. Everything you put here is incorrect, you know, like, or outdated, or does not apply to the situations that you're applying it to. Right? Because, okay, if I lose, let's say I'm selling copyrighted stuff, right? And I lose my shop. What am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to go to the social. I did nothing wrong. Okay? Those are the people that she's quoting. You know, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I've been selling this on Etsy for years with no problem. And suddenly I lost my shop. It's totally unfair how they're targeting some sellers. And she's quoting these people. And then you go look up the person, and it's like, then some of these people are active in social media, which is where she's finding them. So then you go look up the person, and like I said, I am one of those weirdos who thinks research is fun. So I'll go look up, okay, so maybe, do we have any information on what this person is doing? Oh, selling Disney. Why are you quoting this person? Oh, because it's a great way to shit on Etsy and get attention to your own shop. So what I realized is almost every single person who's posting this Etsy is garbage content, they're not on Etsy. Maybe they were and didn't succeed, but they're not on Etsy. But it's amazing how they're putting out, some of them are really obvious. Anyway, can I just suggest strongly that if you find a post, an article, a blog post, or whatever, for starters, if it's a blog post, if it's something based entirely on somebody else's opinion, ask yourself where their opinion came from. What made them have the opinion that they have? Because usually disgruntled people make disgruntled content. Are they on Etsy? Do they have their own presence on Etsy? Are they selling something through a different platform? And this person was. Oh, by the way, while you're reading this blog post, don't forget to check out my shop. And it's a jewelry shop. It's like, oh, well, there's your problem right there. She started trying to sell jewelry on Etsy, couldn't succeed at it, but she succeeded at shit-talking about Etsy to get people to believe that Etsy is this evil monster. Because I will tell you right now, as a seller, as a person who wants to sell, you are shooting yourself and the entire community in the foot, because the biggest source of shit talk about Etsy is disgruntled sellers. Whether or not they're actively selling, no longer selling. I don't hear buyers. oh, Etsy's horrible. They break the law. They do this and they say Etsy's great. They got great customer service, great this, great that. Customers that are active on Etsy, oh, they love all this stuff. But customers leave Etsy because my experience on Etsy was great, but I value social justice. So when I found out how badly they treat the buyers because of all these blog posts and stuff that I read about buyers complaining about the problems they're having, I decided not to buy from them anymore. Anyway, I've gone in a bit of a circle, but disgruntled, being a disgruntled seller while you're still actively trying to sell is literally the online business version of shooting yourself in the foot. Why would I buy from you if all you're doing is complaining that the platform you're selling on is horrible? It's just like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Etsy is not breaking the law by doing something you don't like. Etsy has the right. Etsy is a company that's based in New York City. It's registered, it's not New York City, the state of New York. I'm not sure if they're in New York City or not, but they're in the state of New York. In the state of New York, a business has the right to do business with anybody for any reason or no reason at all, which means that they can have their house rules, and that's just too damn bad, which is something else that I need to address in a video, is Etsy's house rules. Because, my God, the number of people who do not understand how that works is astounding. It's just like I have my house rules. If you come into my house, certain things happen. And if you can't handle that, you can't come back to my house. Etsy, as a business, has the right to that. That is one of the reasons why so many corporations are registered in New York State, because New York State gives them the right to do business with anybody they want or to decline business for any reason or no reason at all. And don't forget, the United States has a reputation as being a country where people love to sue each other. So as a business, registering in a state that allows you to not have to give a reason is gold. It's worth its weight in gold. Etsy won't discuss stuff for a whole variety of reasons, and I'm probably going to do another video just on that topic alone, because I am totally ranting about this today. But anyway, please stop assuming that Etsy is this big organized crime syndicate. If you don't like the platform, just don't stay. It's not that difficult. But what happens, I'll tell you right now what happens is they get miserable, they get this, they get that. I saw one person do it. I'll give you a story. This happened at Christmas time, okay? This person was doing Christmas ornaments and they got overwhelmed, as happens to a lot of people at Christmas time. Well, she got overwhelmed, and so Etsy put her on vacation mode. Etsy has a thing that they will do. They will say, hey, we see that you're behind on your shipping. Now, I've mentioned this before, but when you're doing your shipping, if you say you're going to ship in 3 days, it better be in the mail in 3 days. If you start falling behind on your promised ship by date, that's the date you promised to have it in the mail, not the date you promised to have it to the customer. If you fall behind on your ship by date, then Etsy can swing in and put you on vacation mode to keep you from losing your shop. Isn't that interesting, right? So it's an anti-fraud measure, for sure. It's absolutely an anti-fraud measure. I'm not going to pretend it's not. But the reason why it exists is also to give people a chance to get their shit together before they get into the kind of trouble that's going to cost them their shop. So back to story time. A woman comes into the social medias and she's all like, man, she is miserable, man. Oh, Etsy's trying to destroy my business. They put me on vacation mode. And it's my busiest time of the year, and it's this, it's that. Blah, 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 blah. And this is something that Etsy started doing. They started doing it, a couple of years ago. It's relatively new. They weren't doing it before that. Okay. So Etsy sends her a letter, blah, 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 blah. We've noticed you're behind on your shipping, yada, yada, yada. We put you on vacation mode so you can catch up. Now, how that works is you go on vacation mode, then you come back. You go on vacation mode, and once everything's been shipped, they'll take you off of vacation mode. But if you're shipping without tracking, then I believe they give it an extra 4 or 5 days. But anyway, she's losing her shit. Do they have no idea? Blah, blah, blah. I make most of my money over Christmas because she focuses on Christmas decorations, yada, yada, yada. That's all fine. And everybody's telling her, then get your stuff shipped out. I can't. I'm too far behind. It's going to take me at least 3 weeks to catch up. And people are pointing out, then then your customers, you've already got customers that are not going to get stuff in time for Christmas. And she's like, that's not my problem. I have a no refund policy. So she's losing her fucking mind, going all over the place in circles. So then she's like, that's it, blah, blah, blah. They're evil. They're this. They're breaking the law by preventing me from doing, they're breaking the law by forcing me into. So she's all about how Etsy's the evil syndicate. So she just said, fuck it. Took all the money, took the cash that she could, left. She just didn't bother. She did not bother. She did the thing. It's like, they're going to shut me down. It's like, she didn't take any responsibility for her own behavior, for her own actions, her own this, her own that. Obviously, she did get shut down because don't forget, if you're not shipping on time, eventually Etsy's going to have a problem with you. And so not only did she get behind, but she just immediately stopped shipping at all. She's like, well, I have to get caught up, so I'm just going to do it my way, or whatever the hell she was thinking. I forget. This is an old enough story. I've got some of the details mixed up by now, right? Anyway, then she comes back in, and she's livid. She's livid. Oh, they've shut me down. They've done this. They've done that. I'm gonna lose my shop anyway. So there's no point. So she just stopped trying. Etsy's horrible. They're out to get me. They're gonna shut me down. I'm gonna stop trying. Do this. Do that. And then she lost her fucking mind because I don't know what did or didn't happen behind the scenes, but apparently, before she could get all of her, because she was just gonna cash out all the money she had coming to her, and before she could do that, they ended up shutting her down because she was so busy beacon off about how Etsy's evil and criminal and that she wasn't shipping at all. So as soon as they realized it, and it's all done by bot, it's all done by computer, right? They just came, if Etsy shuts you down, they seize your funds for 6 months to make sure that refunds and all that stuff can be accommodated. Because it's actually a form of fraud. It's actually a form of fraud to sell something, take the money, and then not deliver a product. It's weird. You're not going to go to, you could go to jail for it if caught. On a platform like Etsy, they just shut you down. Anyway, she's losing her mind. She's freaking out. She's doing this. She's doing that. She's doing everything wrong. She gets shut down, and she has lots and lots of money left still in the account. They seized it, and she's bitching. Well, Etsy shut me down and stole my money. And it's like, well, weren't you just here saying you were behind and you weren't going to get this stuff out in time for Christmas? Yeah, but I have a no refund policy. Okay, anyway, this happens every Christmas. We get at least one. Who thinks that they're going to come in, make a shit ton of money, and then ship at their own convenience. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. Anyway, so she's all over the social media crying her case and getting people oh my God, that's so horrible. Now you have, because she's like, Etsy's the reason why my kids aren't going to have a good Christmas this year. People are believing her. Because Etsy's criminals. Etsy's this, Etsy's that. And people are responding accordingly. Can we please just start paying attention? I get it. Okay, she's upset. Her kids aren't going to have a good Christmas, but she didn't fix the problem. She just she lost her mind, made the problem worse, but convinced the social medias that Etsy had fucked her over. The people that did see through it, of course, people did see through it, of course, and she got told, it's like, you can't do that, right? Well, I'm just going to start over somewhere else. Now, here's where this scenario plays out. Then I'm just going to start over somewhere else, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And then you find out that some platforms, account reserves is a good example, some platforms won't pay you for 3 months anyway. That's the legal limit. Anyway, I'm going in circles and I'm getting all confusing now, but I'm definitely going to try and stop here. Point being, stop believing everything you read on social media, and as sellers, stop playing a part and feeding into it, because the biggest source of shit talk about Etsy is coming from sellers. Sellers that are active sellers. I've got active sellers in my group who are regularly saying shit like, "Oh yeah, Etsy started account reserve so that they can put your money in their bank accounts and collect interest." No, they didn't. That's got nothing to do with it. If you're on an account reserve, you're on an account reserve for a reason. Is it just regular housekeeping? Did you do something wrong? Don't know. They don't have an obligation to tell you no reason or any reason at all, right? This is something that really, really protects Etsy as a business. But anyway, Etsy has a right to make money. They're a business, just like we are. And we need to stop pretending that they are supposed to function as a nonprofit or a charity. It's not how they work. When you look at what other businesses, other platforms are doing, they all have There's very few that have lower fees, and the ones that have lower fees have even less in the way of customer service. So we need to stop pretending that Etsy is the devil. Are there things I'm stuttering now. Are there things that they do that we don't like? Sure. Are they evil? Is Etsy breaking the law by putting my account into a reserve? No. There are multi-billion people. That's a class action lawsuit waiting to happen. It's like, no, it's not. They're allowed to run their business. They're allowed to make changes. It's all in the terms of service that you sign when you sign up. And if you don't like it, there's 20 other platforms to pick from. No, you are not under any if you were in a situation where you were being forced to do business with Etsy, then maybe it's a class action lawsuit waiting to happen if people want to get together and have a problem with it. But nobody's forcing you to do business with Etsy. And as long as that's the case, and as long as they are staying within the confines of the SEC, whatever, all the different government organizations that control online businesses, as long as they're staying, as long as those guys say that Etsy's not breaking the law, then you going all over social media calling Etsy criminals just hurts everybody else. Anyway, I'm kind of babbling and I kind of got going in circles, but I'm just going to leave it because I don't care. The reality is you don't have to love Etsy. You don't have to love everything that Etsy does, but you need to start paying attention to where this, when you decide to believe a piece of information that's going to affect your business, then it's on you to understand where that information is coming from and whether or not that information is actually even factual. Most of the crap that we're hearing about Etsy is based on information that is not factual. Do your own research, look it up, and don't just look up what some freaking blogger has to say. I am the equivalent of a blogger. I am talking from the perspective of my own opinion. You don't have to agree with me. And if you've come, maybe I'm right today, and maybe Etsy's policies are going to change tomorrow, making what I'm saying now pointless. Do your own research. Make sure that you're researching information that's up to date. Make sure you're aware of Etsy's policy on the matter before you start looking up people's opinions on their interpretation of a policy. But just because you're not making $1 million a year, just stop believe. I'm not making $1 million a year either, but that doesn't mean I'm going to believe every bit of bullshit that comes my way, because it hurts. If you hurt Etsy as a platform, you will hurt yourself as a business. And people that are on Etsy don't seem to realize that. Anyway, I'm going to go. Before I start ranting all over again, because I've probably covered it. I'm probably gonna rant like this at least once every 6 months. It's, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But anyway, yeah. Stop listening to bloggers who are trying to present 3-year-old information as current, and their opinions as provable facts. I've got opinions, okay? I'm telling you, do your own research. Don't just go by my opinion. My opinion is blah. My thoughts are blah. And if that works for you and helps you to grow your business or better understand things, that's fine. But don't believe the shit posting, because most of it comes with a story, and most of the stories are about disgruntled buyers who couldn't cut it on Etsy and are now trying to make. There's another one that does the same thing. There's one in particular that I'm thinking of, but I've encountered 5 or 6 of these guys where they're like, "Oh, here's all the reasons why Etsy's a problem," and blah 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 blah. And I'm going to present this as if I'm just some helpful guru type person. Oh, and by the way, I have my own shop if you want to check it out. It's like, well, it's amazing, because for an Etsy expert, why isn't your shop on Etsy? Why are you running your own website or Shopify? It's like, well, wait a second. It's like if for some reason I jumped ship and was no longer on Etsy and was on a different platform, I probably wouldn't make Etsy content anymore, because I wouldn't need to. Well, unless I needed the attention to drive traffic over somewhere else. I have an Etsy shop. That's the only shop I have. So yeah, that I can prove. That's a fact. But anyway, stop listening to other people's opinions as if it is gospel truth, because it very rarely is, and it usually, like even me, I have an agenda. I have an agenda. I'm bored and sit at home all day. So anyway, gonna go. See you on the next one. Bye.